Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 11 of EDU6200. That's right, I'm coming at you this morning, Thursday morning, because, well, I got a couple emails last night from my reply that I hadn't done the video yet, and some of you were looking forward to it. So here it is. I'm working out in this area today, so I got a chance to do the video before I left for work. Real quick on some things, I have graded all of the week 10 discussion forums. Everybody got it in on time, which is fantastic. I have also started looking at your compliance inventories. That's the WCG number 4, and I'll get those graded sometime throughout this weekend, so you'll have a grade in there for that. Week 11 is real simple. We're looking at Chapter 9. I'm going to give you some information about Chapter 9 in this presentation. You're looking at the Week 11 discussion forum, and I know that the group has already posted their information. They got it to me ahead of time to look at. By the way, Week 12, start looking ahead. Make sure you get your stuff posted by Monday night. So Week 12 group, make sure you post your stuff by Monday night. And don't forget, you're doing this as a group. So as a pair, you're going to do this together. And then you're going to go ahead and post. One of you will post and put both names in there. And I will give you credit that way. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the Week 8 group. I'm sorry, not Week 8, Week 10 group. I saw several replies you guys made to your classmates. So that's really important. It's an opportunity for us to discuss, and we learn as much from each other as you will learn from me. In fact, I just finished watching one of your videos. I'm not going to say who it is, but I learned so much about your school, and that is something I could never have learned if you just typed that in. So thank you for the video. It definitely allows me to see what your school is really like and compare it to things we have here in Hillsborough. So that's really neat to see. The last thing in week 11 is the WCG number 7 assignment, the school and local community research assignment. And that's going to be due Monday night, and I'm going to go over that one right now just to make sure everybody knows what you have to do. So first of all, you'll find information about WCG number 7 over on page 8 of the syllabus. And it says very clearly, the candidate will use a variety of educational publications to research how effective school leaders build and sustain collaborative relationships that positively impact the well-being of the school, families, and local community. You're going to present a summary of your findings using some kind of technology. It can be a PowerPoint, it can be a Prezi, it can be a video, it can be a Powtoon. Anything like that is fine for the presentation. So that's on page 8. If you go over to the actual rubric, and let me get that particular one up. Let's see, this. It's not that one, so hang on one second, everybody. There we go, WCG number 7 rubric. So this rubric has several sections here you want to be aware of. There's 4 sections, and the first one says very clearly, identifies 5 or more appropriate educational resources. So what you're doing is you're finding 5 different ways that your school can build a community. It could be a community with the parents, it could be a community with the families, it could be a community with business partners, it could be a community with volunteers, whatever happens to happen there. Hang on one second, guys, there's a bug in my house and it'll kill it. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Sorry guys, that's funny. One of those pincher bugs was crawling up my wall and I could not stop noticing it. So again, back to this piece, this first part of the rubric on number 7. You're doing 5 different things and you're using 5 different publications. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for 5 or more in that piece. The second one is right in line with that, 5 or more research ways to build sustainable and collaborative relationships. Again, each school is different. So based on what your school's needs are, this section here, section 2 of rubric number 7, will look very, very different. In a school that's mostly ESC children, it'll look very different from a school that's mostly high poverty versus a school that's mostly suburban versus some of you might work in a private school or a charter school. So what you're looking at is 5 resources or more and 5 or more ways that you can sustain and build a collaborative environment positively impacting the school. So ways you can do that. And I'll give you one example. When I opened Shields Middle School down in Ruskin with the staff, one of the things we worked on were business partnerships. And so our local Home Depot, our local Beef O'Brady's, they all became partners and gave us stuff for the school that we were able then to give out to parents when they came in, or one of the parent nights, Beef O'Brady's brought wings to give out. So things like that where you can build together. It might be volunteers. I know at my kids' schools where they went to elementary school, there were tons of volunteers. You never made copies as a teacher because there were parent volunteers making copies all day long. Section, sorry guys. Section 3 is about effectively using technology, and Section 4 is presenting in a logical and sequential manner. If you're doing a PowerPoint, that's very easy because you do it slide by slide. If you're doing any kind of list or video, really important to make a script that does keep you very straight and forward there. So this one is all research. This is not implementation. It's research. You can talk to your admin if you want to get some help. It is not required. You're kind of looking at what people have done, and do make sure that anything you list, you have a valid source to support that, okay? That's WCG number 7, and that's going to be due this week as well. So that's it for the content that's due this week. What I want to do before I talk about weeks 12 and beyond, I do want to give you some information about chapter 9 of week 11. I apologize, guys, not used to doing this first thing in the morning. Chapter 9, a real interesting chapter, especially because of the county I work in. And you've been watching the news about the contract negotiations in Hillsborough, and not that I'm going one way or the other, but these things are going to wind up right here with Chapter 9, which, by the way, ties into the Florida school laws. This talks about terms and conditions of employment. And one of the things that you need to be aware of as a Florida educator is that Florida is a right-to-work state. We are not a union state. And what it means by that is you have a right to work. You do not have to join a union, even if there is one available. So, for example, if you're not a member of Hillsborough's Classroom Teacher Association, you still get the benefits of their negotiations. You just are not a member. Whether you're a member or not is up to you. I advise my wife. She's a teacher. She's a member of the union. I think it's a great organization to support the collective goals of teachers and what they want. But in Florida, one of the things about right to work is you can't strike. And if you strike, you can lose your certificate, your job, and your retirement. So that's one of the reasons why things go the way they do. But Chapter 9 talks about licensure, and that basically each state establishes what that is. Now, something new that we have in Florida in the last probably 10, 12 years is reciprocity, and that's where you can come from out of state. Some of you may have done this. Certificate from Georgia, of Alabama, North Carolina. You move to Florida, and we give you reciprocity. It just means your certificate's good here as well. You pay, you get evaluated, and boom, you've got a certificate. That's a really neat feature for people that move between states. We have a very large military base you all know about here, and so we get people that come in all the time from other states. Then as far as employment, each school board sets its own piece. And as you guys know, in Florida, we have 67 counties, and the state constitution says every county is a district. And so that's a really important piece. But the district sets its standards based on Florida and federal law. You just cannot contradict for federal law, which, by the way, is why this book goes the order it does. If you notice, we started with a lot of federal laws first, and now we're coming to more local things. Contracts, again, must comply with federal law, but it depends on where you're at. And one of the things that Florida did, if you've been around since before 2011, you might be a tenured teacher. I happen to be a tenured administrator because I've been an administrator since 2007. But if you were hired as a teacher in Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Highlands, Hardee, any county after July 1 of 2011, you probably do not have tenure and never will. And what tenure basically is, it's called a continuing contract. It just means that they can't let you go at the end of the year for anything but real just cause. You'd have to do something that gets your name in the paper, basically, for a bad reason to lose your job. But those things have changed in Florida. Everybody now coming in has an annual contract, which has to be renewed each year. It's not going to happen that you're going to lose your job. We don't have enough teachers to begin with, but it does definitely leave off some securities you might have if you were on a continuing contract. Something else new in Florida is domestic partner benefits. That's coming. It's not fully where it is up in the north. Obviously, they're a bit more liberal than we are here in the south, and they have a far more family-friendly domestic partner benefits, but those are available in Florida in some aspects. And again, evaluations, records, all those things have to go in state law. They follow state law, and so right now, the state has that piece where you all know you get a written evaluation and some kind of data evaluation. Sorry, guys. The last thing in this chapter that's really, really important is collective bargaining. And this is really an interesting thing. Up north, you have a union, a strong union like a New York, where the union sits down with the representatives from the district and they negotiate back and forth. At the end of it, those are binding. And basically, the union has a lot of power up in the north. And if they can't come to agreement, an arbitrator comes in. And the arbitrator says, I side with the district, boom, it's done, no questions asked. Or I side with the union, boom, it's done, no questions asked. In Florida, it's a bit different because we have collective bargaining and not negotiation. So this gives us the right to collectively bargain as a group as far as teachers go. And what that allows your union to do, if you're a member of Polk or Pinellas or any other county, is they can negotiate with the district for every teacher. One of the things to note about this is until the contract is approved, so whether it be money, whether it be duties, responsibilities, hours, until the union and the board negotiate and finish, and it's ratified and approved by both the members and the school board, there's really no teeth. But once that contract's approved, then there's teeth. It becomes a legal standing. So for example, if your school district has a policy that you should have a 15-minute duty for half a year, and you're asked to do more than that, then your union, your association come in and defend your right to not have to do more than 15 minutes of duty. If you don't have a 30-minute duty-free lunch, they can come in and they can fight that for you. But one of the things I'll tell you in this area is what battles are worth fighting and what battles are not worth fighting. You got to really pick those and see where it kind of fits for you. All right, that's it for Chapter 9. Some great stuff in there. You'll really enjoy looking at that. I want to look ahead with you at WCG assignments. The next one coming up is the Field Experience Assignment, WCG number 6, Professional Development. This is the presentation. So remember the one you did a couple of weeks ago on number 5, which was the research. Now you're going to actually do a presentation. And I spoke about this in a previous video that you're going to submit two things. Two things going in chalk and wire. Number 1, the actual presentation, and number 2, a reflection on that. This is also one of those assignments where your principal has to sign off, or your administrator, so you need to be working with them. Real important. You want to make sure that when you look at the rubric for this one, and you look at WCG number 6, which is also on page 8 of the syllabus, you're going to actually use the information you gained to then do a presentation for your school. Now, I understand that with us still coming back from hurricane days and all that, there may be some flexibility needed here. It's very simple. If your principal cannot get you in by the time this assignment's due, you still have a week and a half to get it in, that's not a problem. Just make sure you get something in writing for me, letting me know when it's going to happen. An email from your principal, just forward it on to me. I'll put it in my records. I want to be as flexible as possible because what's most important is getting this assignment done. But if you postpone this one, it makes the last 2 assignments that much more difficult. So if at all possible, get it done this week upcoming. If not, work on it then. So you'll see the information there in the syllabus on WCG number 6. In the rubric, you'll see it talks about activities that are tied to improving professional practice. You present in a logical fashion, and you give me a 1-page reflection. So you're looking at things that are related to your school, and it's that plan you developed for me in number 5. What were the needs of your school? Address one of those needs and develop and deliver professional development on that. I get the question often, Dr. Richmond, how long does it have to be? In all honesty, by state law, you can't get points for something that count towards recertification without it being 3 hours or more. I should know that's been my job for the last 12 years. However, this can be something like a 30, 45-minute presentation you do during a faculty meeting or lunch and learn type thing. Whatever your principal wants to work out with you is perfectly fine with me on that. Just do make sure you get that done. And again, if you somehow need that extension, you need to let me know now and not next week. So go talk to your principal today, tomorrow, and talk to them about getting this done if you can't get it done by the time the due date is there. Because remember, all you're presenting to me is the presentation and a 1-page reflection that talks about how you thought it went and what you'd improve and things like that. All right, the last two WCG assignments coming up are number 10 and number 8. These are out of order. In fact, the last 4 are out of order. This week is number 7, next week is 6, week 13 is 10, and week 14 is 8. Number 10 is the observation summary. You can find information about that over on page, sorry guys, page 10 of the syllabus, and it talks about 3 strategies observed in assignment 9 and provide a reflection on how you would use those techniques to respond to those same barriers. So again, I mentioned earlier in a previous video that all these assignments towards the end refer back to previous assignments. This is WCG number 9, one of those first ones we did right when the hurricane hit. So you turned it in a little bit late, some of you, and that was fine. But this is really applying to that, and it's talking about how you're going to do it now. It's not how your school did it, how you would do it. So how would you respond to some of those areas? So you're going to look at those areas in WCG number 9. The last one is the group survey. That is number 8, and you can find number 8 over on page 9 of the syllabus. And this one, you're creating a survey. You're creating a survey that's based on your research from number 7. So the one you're doing this week, you're going to develop a survey out of that. You can do it at the same time. It's probably a good idea to do it at the same time. And what you want to do is look at and gain survey information. So you got to get permission from your principal to send this out to school families, local school community, to gain feedback on the school and how it's building relationships. You're going to prepare a report that summarizes data. By the way, there's a couple great programs out there to help you with this. SurveyMonkey is a great thing. You want to do it electronically. If you guys have the Microsoft Office 365 suite like we do here in Hillsborough, Microsoft Forms works great. Google Forms works great. You can use an electronic form to gather this information for you. This is the 21st century. This is not the day of you collecting paper surveys and writing numbers down and then having to do your own graphs. This stuff does much of it for you, and you can prepare that information fine. If you use technology to do it, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing in this assignment that says you have to make your own report. If you use a program that develops a report for you, that's fantastic. You're also submitting a 1-page reflection talking about how you're going to build sustainable and collaborative relationships that impact the well-being of the school based on the data you have pulled. This one has to be signed by your principal as well. It is going out to your school families. It's really important you get permission from the school and talk to your principal about it now. So I've given you a few assignments to do now to work with your principal to get you guys moving ahead. All right, that's it for this week. I'm going to come back to you again on Tuesday next week. Again, I apologize. Honestly, I didn't even think about the video after I came in from handing out candy, and I sat down and watched Beetlejuice, and before I knew it, I'd forgotten to do it. So I apologize, guys. I guess I'm allowed that mistake, and I hope you will take that in stride. This video is getting kind of long. I'm going to end it here. You guys have a great day, great weekend, and contact me with any questions. And again, if you need extensions on some of those things where you have to work with your principal, I need that now. So start talking to your principal now about these last few assignments. All right, have a great day, everybody. Have a great weekend.